This is our news, the weekend edition. And on the broadcast tonight, a large sinkhole appears in the middle of a busy thoroughfare here in the capital. Plus, we speak to the chairman of the Rehabilitation of Offenders Committee on the expungement of criminal records. And later on, an opposition MP hits out at the Minister administration's decision to increase travel benefits for ministers and their spouses.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, I'm Andrew Knowles, and thanks so much for joining us. Topping news tonight, a portion of Prince Charles Drive was closed today after a large sinkhole appeared in the busy thoroughfare. Police say the gaping hole developed in the road in the vicinity of the popular Popeyes restaurant. There is no official word on what may have caused the sinkhole. As the entire strip from the traffic light by Commonwealth Bank heading east to the light at the intersection of Fox Hill Road and Prince Charles Drive was closed to vehicular traffic, motorists had to be diverted to Springfield Road from Prince Charles to access Prince Charles Drive East. Not only did the sinkhole cause disruption to vehicular traffic, but also to the water and electricity supply in the eastern area. We're told the area was left without water this morning. Ministry of Works officials, along with workers from the Water and Sewerage and Bahamas Power and Light, spent the day working to make the necessary repairs. A man was killed in a traffic accident on ABACO overnight. It was shortly after 2 a.m. Sunday when the victim was driving a Chevrolet van south on Ernest Dean Highway in the vicinity of Schooner Bay Resort. That's when he reportedly lost control of the vehicle and overturned. We're told the man sustained serious injuries and was transported to the Marsh Harbor Medical Facility where he was pronounced dead. Officers from the traffic department will travel to Abaco to assist with investigations. Well, investigations continue into the discovery of 3 dead bodies that washed ashore on 2 keys in the Ragged Island chain on Friday. The trio are believed to have been on board a Haitian migrant sloop which reportedly capsized around January 13th. A group of 31 migrants were discovered alive between Maycock Key and Double-Breasted Key. However, the illegals told investigators that more people were unaccounted for, including 5 females. There was no definitive number on the amount of migrants believed to be on board the vessel. A search of the area by the Defense Force along with OPBAT air support turned up with negative sightings of the reported capsized vessel or debris. But some 3 days later, a tourist anchored in the area reported spotting 2 bodies ashore on Double-Breasted Key. Then another body in the vicinity on Hog Key, some 2 miles west of Double-Breasted Key, was discovered by locals. Officials are continuing to search the surrounding areas for further survivors. Well, with talks of expunging criminal records for minor drug offenses grabbing national headlines, Chairman of the Rehabilitation of Offenders Committee, Paul Farquharson, says the focus should be placed on persons grappling with minor charges. As he says, the time is now to bring them out of this valley of despair. Jasmine Brown has more in this report.
Farquharson, who was also the former commissioner of police, was straightforward in his comments about the expungement of criminal records, saying it's an issue that needs to be addressed.
The foundation is being laid, moving from a very old system of expungement to one that is modernized and will lay the foundation for a modern system well into the future.
Farquharson took up the role of chairman of the Rehabilitation of Offenders Committee last September. The committee reviews applications and makes recommendations for expungement to the Minister of National Security. Farquharson has said the majority of applications received since the committee began work last September were for minor matters connected with marijuana. Taking note of the national conversation sparked surrounding marijuana in anticipation of the Bahamas National Commission on Marijuana's final report, Farquharson said this.
that is topical at the moment.
Yes, sir.
But this committee is concerned about all criminal offenses.
He added the committee is pushing for a total turnaround time for a record to be expunged in a 6-month period from the time the application is made to the time the record is expunged.
These are persons who have been disadvantaged for a long time, serve their time, and they feel that they have a right and be rewarded back to normalcy by the state.
Yes.
Under the law. We have to operate within the guidelines of the law.
He also called it unfair for young persons to be remanded for a minor offense.
We have to make sure these persons who are, the record is like an albatross around their neck. We have to bring them out of this valley of despair into a place or the mountaintop of hope.
Yes, that's the way to put it. I like that.
So the state has an obligation to make sure that under the law, we give them a second chance.
The Prerogative of Mercy Committee will meet at the beginning of February to hear applications for the expungement of criminal records. The committee will hear applications to all offenses excluding manslaughter, murder, treason, armed robbery, rape, and kidnapping. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
A Rasta priest who was jailed for 6 months for possession of marijuana with intent to supply says he is desperate to see the country's cannabis laws change. Our Jared Higgs tells us more.
42-year-old Shamarko Adderley is a handyman from Eleuthera who found himself on the wrong side of the law. He was arrested for possession of a quarter pound of marijuana and was ordered to pay a $4,800 fine or spend 6 months in prison.
At that time, I really had no chance for fine, so I tried to plead more with her. Let her know that more times that right now I don't have the money to pay the fine, and right now that I'm a father, I have children, my family depended on me, really, truly, because I'm the one who bringing in the bread for my family.
Unable to pay the fine, Adderley, a father of 5, headed to prison. He says the experience was subhuman.
They really degrade you, they really treat man, dread, they telling you, man, it was horrible, you know what I mean?
As a Rasta priest, Adderley views marijuana as a sacrament and believes he has a constitutional right to use the plant. As it stands now, government doesn't agree, and Adderley and his fellow Rastas are subject to arrest if found in possession of the substance. Being convicted and sentenced to the Bahamas Department of Corrections also features a dreaded consequence for members of the Rastafarian faith.
They, one shot, cut my ear, says, cut my ear, bro, you mean, brethren? Brethren, true, is a man, brethren. I see, I choose to grow my locks. I choose to grow my locks natural. I ain't really, you know what I mean, true. So, how you think that make me feel when I even had a saying in that?
Adderley is hopeful that things will change and he won't have to worry about being jailed for having marijuana. Prime Minister Dr. Rupert Minnis has voiced support for decriminalizing small quantities of marijuana and legalizing medicinal marijuana. He also wants people in jail for possession of small quantities released. Not everybody has bought into Minnis's weed pledge, though. Opposition leader Philip Davis has pointed out that most people are able to avoid jail time for possession of small quantities of marijuana. Attorney Wayne MUNROE agrees.
You would have to try hard to go to jail for simple possession of a small quantity of marijuana.
Meanwhile, Adderley, known by those close to him as Priest Marcus, is trying to stay out of problems so he can continue to support his family. He says changing the country's marijuana laws is a matter of right and wrong.
I is peaceful loving people, but how can it be peace when there ain't no justice, brethren? You see it? So I need equal rights and justice, dread.
Reporting for Our News Weekend, I'm Jared Higgs.
Well, meantime, police are on the hunt for 2 men behind an armed robbery last night. A man and a woman had just arrived at a home on Ann Drive in Winton Meadows around 11 p.m. when they were approached by 2 armed men. The culprits robbed them of cash and other items before speeding away in their 2012 Chevy Silverado truck. The vehicle would be recovered a short while later by police on Yamaka Road. No one was injured during the incident. And the international sporting community mourning the loss of one of the greatest basketball players, 5-time NBA champion Kobe Bryant. The former LA Laker and his 13-year-old daughter were among 5 people killed in a helicopter crash in Calabasas, California earlier this afternoon. Bryant was 41. According to reports, the NBA legend was on his way to a travel basketball game with his daughter and 3 others when the helicopter crashed. Now, rumors also circulated that Bahamian Rick Fox was believed to be on board the helicopter as well. However, it was later confirmed by Fox's attorney that he was not among those on board. As Kobe was a well-loved figure among Bahamians and Laker fans, many took to social media to express condolences. Jamal Mastermind Bain shared on Facebook, "At this time, I still can't believe this is true. Kobe was a true hero on and off the court and a role model to a lot of kids growing up." Gerard Laker Nation Butler wrote, "You were the reason I fell in love with the game of basketball. Laker Nation and the entire basketball world will miss you incredibly. You left an indelible mark on my life." And the celebrity artist Jamal Roll wrote, "Heroes come and go, but legends are forever," as he posted a portrait of Kobe. And we will take our first break here. But when we come back, the Angliston Member of Parliament speaks out on the Minnis administration's new travel perks. This while the opposition leader laughs at comments by the Labour minister.
Check. So all you've been doing on this court was traveling. When you see me travel, go watch my free NBA pass game. I can come back harder, smoke it, spicy.
Free NBA pass.
Doing what we're doing. Each month they send a lucky customer on an all-expense-paid trip to the States to watch a game. And even if you don't win that, you could have a local experience because they can pay for all your food and drinks and participate in bars, so you still have a good time, bro.
I could get in on that.
All you have to do is sign up for Trio and you enter the drawing. Ferrari, don't lie.
Don't get denied like this guy. Make sure you come through in the clutch. Sign up for Trio and be a Rev NBA All-Star. Guarantee your chance to win a free trip to an NBA game every month when you sign up for Trio today. Call 601-8992. Terms and conditions apply. Rev, you and us together.
Former Transport and Aviation Minister GLENYS HANNA-MARTIN is slamming the Minnis administration over the decision to increase travel benefits for ministers and their spouses.
I called it unconscionable because people are catching hell. I know in particular in my own constituency, people are out of work, people are on minimum wage, the cost of living has increased, it is rough. We're now paying 25 cents, 29 cents for a bag. They're getting VAT on that. Get the bag plus VAT.
It was revealed on Monday that a new travel policy for ministers that was implemented by Cabinet last year increases the number of annual trips for the ministers' spouses and affords them a $100 daily per diem. The $100 per diem for spouses is equivalent to the per diem paid to technical officers in the public service. The policy also increases ministers' per diem by 25% for domestic travel and 67% for international travel. The ministerial per diem for domestic travel was increased from $80 to $100 per day and from $150 to $250 for international travel.
In the face of this reality, to tell us, the Bahamian people, that you have to pay more this, more that, sacrifice, do this, do that, comply with that, but you're going on more trips, you're getting greater benefits, you're not paying for your gas now, first time in recent governance in this country under the Ingram and Christie administration, first time ministers just pulling up and getting free gasoline and didn't even tell the Bahamian people.
But the move has been defended by some in the Minnis administration, including Education Minister Jeff Lloyd, who co-chaired the Cabinet subcommittee that proposed the new policy. Lloyd noted that minister spouses don't travel for a, quote, fun time, but rather to collaborate with other dignitary spouses. But HANNA-MARTIN says the move shows how out of touch the government is with the people of the Bahamas.
They've created new executive chairman positions at public cost to give employment to their MPs, boards and committees or whatever that never had executive chairman in the history of this nation, and I don't even know what they do. They have required us to shoulder the burden and toe the line, but they have not shown a similar commitment in that. And you know, it almost makes you feel like they're making fools of us. That's how I feel about it, because if you're telling me that this country is in such dire straits, and that is requiring all this sacrifice of Bahamian people, higher cost of BPL, you know, and then you turn around and you give yourself more and more benefits.
Well, in other news, opposition leader Philip Brave Davis raising several questions surrounding the ratio of migrant workers to Bahamian workers at the Point Development and calling the Minister of Labor's recent comments laughable. GIORGIO BAIN reports.
The government is seeking a full explanation from the Point Development as to why foreign labor far exceeds Bahamian labor, despite their agreement. On Tuesday, Labor Minister Dion Folks told reporters after an analysis of the workforce at the Point, the minister's administration was left disappointed. Opposition leader Philip Davis said the minister's comments are laughable, given that his ministry is responsible for work permits.
It's laughable. I mean, the foreign workers in this country could only work in the country, right, through the permission of the government. So the government must know that they are granting work permits to the Point. And if they're granting 70%, if 70% of the workers at the Point are foreigners, it meant that the government gave them those number of work permits to work at the Point. So where's the disappointment?
200 Bahamians were expected to be hired during the construction phase of the $200 million development. According to the Department of Labor's last inspection, there were 97 Bahamians, 229 Chinese, and 38 other nationalities. Davis said the government should have been monitoring the level of foreign labor at the Point.
That shows a failure of this government to pay attention to what is going on, so that they are not monitoring what is going on, not just in the country and in the economy. If they were monitoring the Point, they'll be able to recognize, well, hold on. And you go to the ministry, they're here, the workers are here through the permission of the government. The government have allowed them to be here. Having allowed it, now they're going to be disappointed.
Reporting for our News, I'm GIORGIO BAIN.
Up next, the financial services sector prepares for peer review. We'll explain. And the Lead Institute to host a one-day trauma workshop. We have the details when our News, the Weekend Edition, returns.
Check. So all you've been doing on this court was traveling. When you see me travel to go watch my free NBA pass game, I can come back out and smoke it. Spicy.
Free NBA pass.
You know what we're doing? Each month they send a lucky customer on an all-expense-paid trip to the States to watch a game. And even if you don't win that, you could have a local experience because they can pay for all your food and drinks and participate in bars, so you still have a good time, bro.
I can get in on that.
All you have to do is sign up for Trio and you enter the drawing. That don't lie.
Get denied like this guy, make sure you come through in the clutch. Sign up for Trio and be a Rev NBA All-Star. Guarantee your chance to win a free trip to an NBA game every month when you sign up for Trio today. Call 601-8992. Terms and conditions apply. Rev, you and us together.
Welcome back to our News, the Weekend Edition. As work continues towards the Bahamas meeting international regulatory standards, Chief Executive Officer and Executive Director of the Bahamas Financial Services Board, Tanya McCartney, says she believes the Bahamas will effectively address all outstanding issues to be removed from the Financial Action Task Force Grey List by spring, when the next peer review is scheduled.
I know that the Attorney General is working very hard to address matters relative to our anti-money laundering regime and remediating deficiencies that were identified by the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force. And so we'll see legislation we anticipate come forward as well to continue to make sure that we are in a good standing, I would say by the spring, to say that we have remediated all issues.
The Bahamas was added to the FATF's Grey List of countries with deficiencies in their anti-money laundering and combating the financing of terrorism regimes in June 2017. Last month, after parliamentary parliamentarians adopted one of 3 final action points that should see the Bahamas removed from the FATF's grey list. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Peter Turnquest said the FATF would agree on a site visit to take place sometime between February and April of this year. McCartney said the first phase was to pass the relevant legislation to ensure the Bahamas was technically effective in addressing its deficiencies. She added that the industry is now moving into the next phase of assessing how well those laws have been implemented.
Industry continues to work with government to make sure that we do all that we have to do. In mid-December, we held an industry briefing where government outlined, for example, the actual reporting process and the fact that they had implemented systems to make sure that we were going to meet the deadline for reporting on economic substance.
McCartney's outlook for the financial services sector remains positive, as she says the regulations have presented the Bahamas with unique benefits. Well, the Lead Institute is hosting a one-day seminar that focuses on dealing with trauma. The brains behind the event is certified cognitive behavioral therapy facilitator YVETTE FARRINGTON-CLARKE.
Yeah, we're very excited about the upcoming workshop. It's actually a one-day workshop that we're having, overcoming trauma, dealing with a lot of issues as it relates to trauma and trauma cues that we want to inform people that are now dealing with trauma, individuals that have been traumatized, and for individuals that work along with people that have been traumatized.
The one-day event is set for January 30th, beginning at 9 a.m., and will be held at the Cancer Society of the Bahamas. Lead Institute President Troy Clark explains the importance of the event.
Share the connection of trauma and substance use disorder and show the correlation why we have so many persons maybe using certain forms of substance from alcohol, marijuana, cocaine, and the likes, even prescription drugs as such.
We count down the most memorable quotes of the week. That's coming up when our news, the Weekend Edition, returns.
Business in the Box is your solution for business from Cable Bahamas. It's an internet, voice, mobile, and advertising solution all in one place. Get reliable internet, free domestic call, and a live corporate package, and free TV ad placement, all starting with packages as low as $164 a month. You can save over $3,000 a year. Just call 601-8911. That's 601-8911. And ask for Business in a Box from Cable Bahamas Business Solutions. Terms and conditions apply.
Finally tonight, it's that time when we take a look back at the most memorable moments of the week in news in our Quote of the Week segment. Coming in at number 3 is Chairman of the Valley Boys, Brian Adderley, who says that the results of the Boxing Day parade are changed. Dethroning the Valley Boys, the group will not rush again under the JCNP.
We don't care what organization is formed to manage Junkanoo, the Junkanoo competition or Junkanoo parades, but if these results change, we will not be participating in any more parades under the JCNP. In fact, we've gone from the, on New Year's, our theme was the games we play. And we didn't contemplate that people would be playing games with the Junkanoo scores. And so we've gone from the Great Serengeti on Boxing Day to the great attempted Junkanoo robbery on New Year's.
Education Minister Jeff Lloyd sought to defend Cabinet's decision to increase travel benefits for ministers and their spouses, noting that ministers' wives don't travel for fun or to go to shop, but to collaborate with other dignitary spouses. His comments take the number 2 spot.
My wife and I have traveled on official business twice in 2.5 years. 2 times. Paid for by the government of the Bahamas. 2 times. Are you serious? You joking me? About travel with regard to spouses? And in those circumstances, your wives are collaborating with other wives in issues which affect the international community. Not they're going shopping or just liming or having a fun time. Very much engaged in business which affect and impact your society.
And taking the top spot for Quote of the Week is Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, who voiced his support for the release of all criminals convicted of possession of small amounts of marijuana.
I support this expunging the records
of Bahamians convicted of possession of small amounts of marijuana. They deserve to move on with their lives, free and clear of the stigma of a criminal conviction. Once our reformed laws are passed, and through proper legal mechanisms and procedures, I also support the release from prison of all those who are solely in prison for a small amount of marijuana.